Is News Talk.
Hello there, welcome along to Wednesday Nights Off the Ball. We've got rugby with Keith Wood and Rory O'Connor on the way just after 8 o'clock. Cheltenham Day Two, of course. Johnny Ward and David Jennings will join us to review all the action. We'll also talk to Jamie Codd, who had his second winner in 2 days. And of course, it is Champions League last 16 second legs. Tim Vickery is going to talk about Philippe Coutinho's fairly miserable time at Barcelona. And of course, it's full attention on Liverpool in Munich. 53106, the text number. We're at Off the Ball on Twitter. Richie McCormack here as usual. Hello.
Hello, Joseph.
And Rory O'Connor of the Irish Independent, along for rugby later on, is here for the Newsround. Hello.
Hey, Joe.
Rugby then. What's going on in rugby?
What's going on?
How are we feeling about Cardiff?
Excited.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. Actually, this fixture is probably my favourite one of the Six Nations fixtures. I like, especially away. There's something about the Millennium Stadium and the carnage of Cardiff, and the fact that the stadium is basically in the on the main street.
Yeah.
That just never lets you down. And these games have been unbelievable for the last couple, particularly under Joe and Joe versus Gatland and all that goes with it. It's a pity Ireland aren't going for something more substantial than a kind of an outside shot. But no, I'm as a game, as a measure of where Ireland are. It's going to be fascinating, I think.
It's a proper litmus test of where they are, isn't it?
Yeah. They failed the first litmus test, and they've kind of gotten through the other three. So this is the especially in the context of the England defeat, that's what makes it so much more interesting.
And it's a really good performance, but a loss. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. There's nothing fatal at this stage. Their chances are pretty much already gone of winning the title.
Sure, I just mean in terms of general mood music.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah, I think like another England would be another gut punch and another thing they'd have to get over with. And it's a long time until they're together again to fix it. But I think a strong performance against a good Welsh team in a game that ultimately the stakes are reasonably low for Ireland, albeit a Six Nations game. You know, if they can produce, if they can perform well, and they come out on the wrong side of a narrow one,
yeah.
I don't see that being a major issue.
Okay, we'll talk about all that after 8 o'clock with Keith Wood. We'll come to Cheltenham in a moment, Richie, but there are Liverpool fans, I'm sure, who want to hear what the team is right now.
Yeah, the last two places in Friday's Champions League quarter-final draw very much up for grabs tonight, with both remaining last 16 ties scoreless heading into tonight's second legs. Liverpool at the Allianz Arena to take on Bayern Munich. The Liverpool lineup is thus: Alisson starts in goal. It's a back four of the fit again Trent Alexander-Arnold, Joel Matip, Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson. Then in midfield, the trio of James Milner, Jorginho Wijnaldum and Jordan Henderson, with Fabinho on the bench. Sadio Mane, Mo Salah and Roberto Firmino are their familiar front three. For Bayern, Manuel Neuer starts in goal. A back four of Rafinha, Niklas Süle, Mats Hummels and David Alaba. Javi Martinez and Thiago Alcantara anchor their midfield, with James Rodriguez in front of them. The width is provided by Serge Gnabry and Frank Ribery, with Robert Lewandowski leading their line. And Barcelona, they welcome Lyon to the Camp Nou. As mentioned, this one also scoreless. Marc-Andre ter Stegen starts in goal for Barca. Sergio Roberto, Clément Lenglet, Gerard Piqué and Jordi Alba are their back four. Then across the midfield, it's former Liverpool man Philippe Coutinho, Sergio Busquets, Ivan Rakitic and Artur, with Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez up front. For Lyon, Anthony Lopez is in goal. A back five of Leo Dubois, Jason Denayer, Marcelo, Fernando Marcel and Ferland Mendy. Lucas Toussaint, Nabil Fekir and Tanguy Ndombele are in midfield for them, with Memphis Depay and Moussa Dembele up front. Both games kick off at 8.
We'll talk to Tim Vickery about Philippe Coutinho on the football show. He was booed off at the weekend when he was substituted for Rakitic, so he's not having a good time. It seems his two big issues are force of personality or lack of it, and also they don't know where to play him. He was brought in as the replacement for Iniesta. That hasn't quite worked out, so he's struggling very badly. As for Liverpool, away to Munich, this is going to be a great game. That looks about as strong as Liverpool's first 11 can be for me.
I'd have Fabinho in that midfield.
Would you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of?
Jordan Henderson.
You have to have Henderson in, though.
You do not have to have
Good
Henderson
at clapping his hands and saying, come on.
Away from home, though.
You see, that's the mistake that Klopp has made a lot in this portion of the season, whereby he's gone conservative in midfield and he's gone for the workhorses in Milner and particular in Henderson, and wanted to close things down and maybe not be as incisive as they can be at home from that midfield. And he's opted for them again tonight. And I don't know, there's something about that midfield that would, if I was a Liverpool fan,
they created enough in the first half. You know, with Fabinho was in centre half for that first game, wasn't it? So they created enough to win the game. I think he'll feel that there's enough there to create enough to get that one goal that they need. Yeah. These games have a lot to live up to, don't they?
They sure do. Fabinho is obviously in very good form of late. For me, Milner, Henderson, Wijnaldum. You'd have Wijnaldum in. I would always have Milner in. I think he's really good.
Yeah, I love Milner. Yeah.
And Fabinho, Henderson, it's much of a muchness.
I don't think so.
Fabinho gives you more in terms of keeping the ball.
Fabinho,
depends what you want to do.
You see, you can't keep the ball on your own or in isolation.
But I think Fabinho gives you more actually breaking the lines between midfield and front three. I think he would provide more options for the front three, provide more ball for them to feed off than Henderson will, for sure.
I think it's exaggerated, that difference, personally. We can agree to differ. That's no problem, Richie.
No, Joe, I'm going to jump over the desk and loaf you.
I think having three workhorses in there is just fine for the season. Munich are going to have a lot of possession. They were really good on the ball, Munich, at Anfield. Like, they will keep the ball really well. I think workhorses across a midfield three is fine.
It's the bench for Liverpool.
Hope the front three do something.
Like, Fabinho's Fabinho and Shaqiri, who's not obviously fancied by Klopp at the moment, are on the bench for them. And aside from that, it's Lallana, Origi and others that aren't.
Sturridge can come on and get a goal.
Yeah.
Look, Liverpool have an issue at midfield generally. But they are not going to go out and control the game in Munich. That's not going to happen. And I think Klopp has almost resigned himself to that and said, right, Milner, Henderson, Wijnaldum, go out and run 12k each. And you three ahead of them try and do something. Honestly, I think he's just resigned himself to that against opposition like Munich. Munich were really good at Anfield. Everyone was saying how bad they were.
Very controlled, but they just showed no ambition. They even James Rodriguez was so disappointing.
Yeah, no, he is. I don't know what's happened for James.
Yeah, just go back and watch YouTube's videos of him in 2014 and cry. It's kind of sad to see.
Still very highly thought of, because I think Bayern want to keep him. Right. Beyond his loan spell around Madrid.
He's technically brilliant, but he just, he wasn't doing anything ambitious. Lallana was good at the weekend, and they kind of need one of those players that missed out on last season through injury to come and actually, give them a bit of a lift. And it looked like he may be the one who could actually bring something to the table, and even not just closing down defenders and winning the ball back high up the pitch could.
He's a player who needs games for confidence and for to show his abilities, and he's not going to get a significant run of games in a row at a club like Liverpool anymore.
So again, it's Milner, Henderson, Wijnaldum, and then it's Salah, Firmino, Mane, with on the bench, Fabinho, Sturridge, Lallana, Shaqiri. This is really hard to call. I don't feel strongly about this one way or the other.
I'd fancy Bayern. And maybe by a couple.
I don't see a couple.
Yeah.
No, I think Liverpool will do it.
Do you? Okay.
Looking forward to
I know their away form is terrible in Europe, but
it's a bit different than
like 0-0 is a good result at home. They just need, the equation's pretty simple for them, and they have the attacking prowess to go and do it. Plus, they have a proper centre half playing. I mean, alongside Van Dijk. So I know Matip has his flaws, but they still kept a clean sheet with Fabinho on the first leg. So
Fabinho is a better player than Henderson, but I understand why Henderson's in there, given quote unquote leadership, whatever that intangible is. So I can sort of square that. I really would have Milner in the team every time. So
with you there.
And Wijnaldum, I'd probably have in the team every time as well. So I can see why Fabinho's out.
He has come on and influenced games off the bench as well. He gives them something different off the bench. So particularly if they're chasing something, he does have the capacity.
He's a good finisher, as they'd say in your field, Rory.
In certain quarters, yes.
So that's off at 8 o'clock. That is really tricky tie to predict. Barcelona, you would fancy, will get it done against Lyon. 0-0 in both legs. We'll be watching these games very closely. Dan McDonnell along for the football show later on. So that's Champions League. Cheltenham today.
Cheltenham, yeah. Odds-on favourite Altior claimed the feature race on day 2 of this year's festival.
You relieved people around the office today. Not going to name names.
One or two, and there's one or two as well who might have been involved in text groups as well. They're slightly breathing easier this evening. The Queen won the champion chase, as I say, going to the odds-on favourite Altior, the Nicky Henderson trained 9-year-old. I was challenged all the way by Paul Nicholls, Politolog, winning by just short of 2 lengths in the end. That was Henderson's second win of the day, with 28-1 outsider William Henry taking the Coral Cup in a photo finish after a late surge to beat Willie Mullion's Wicklow Brave. It took the 13th race of the festival before Gordon Elliott picked up his first win. Tiger Roll, a comfortable winner of the cross country, coming home a 5-4 favourite. But owner Michael O'Leary isn't entirely confident that Tiger Roll will now go on to defend his Grand National crown at Aintree.
Honestly, this was his Gold Cup. I mean, the cross country here was his target all year. Aintree was not the target. He's gone up, I think, about £9 in the rating, and he barely made it home. Barely got across the line last year on carrying £9 less. So I don't think it's certain he'll run in Aintree. We have other horses entered in it. If Gordon really wants him to go, I think we'd let him go. But I would caution anybody: don't be betting on him. He's gone up £9 in the rating. I know the bookies will make him favourite, but I would say he's 50-50 to go there, and he may well not go there.
It was the performance of the day, really destroyed the field.
22 lengths, I think, in the end is what Tiger Roll won by. It was incredible stuff altogether. And there were questions, obviously, over the Elliott stable after yesterday's performance, but it didn't take long for a second winner to come along today. 2-1 favourite Envoy Allen won the day's final race, the Champion Bumper. Joseph O'Brien's first winner of the festival came with Band of Outlaws, a favourite winner in the juvenile handicap hurdle, while 4-1 shot top of the game claimed the Grade 1 RSA Chase for trainer Paul Nicholls, and the Martin Brazel trained City Island won the opening race of the day. That was the Ballymore Novices hurdle at a price of 8-1.
Yeah, you mentioned Envoy Allen. We'll talk to Jamie Cotter in 7:30, and then Johnny Ward and David Jennings will reflect on all the day's action from day 2.
Tyburn, meanwhile, is poised to make his Six Nations debut on Saturday, with Ian Henderson reportedly struggling with an injury. The Munster lock could take his place against Wales in Cardiff. Byrne spent 2 years, of course, in Wales playing for the Scarlets, and scrum coach Greg Feek feels he could be a huge asset this weekend.
Well, last week it was a little bit stiff, but that was just he was getting through from the Ospreys game, I think it was a little bit, and but I enjoy watching him train. It's kind of one of those things, that you need someone that can test you with a bib on or whatever it is, and he certainly does that. And I think that was probably the pleasing part last week. Guys like him and guys in the bibs really stood up and helped our training have the intensity it needed and put us under pressure. So you love him and you hate him at times.
There you go, Greg Feek speaking about Tyburn.
Yeah, I mean, if he didn't play this weekend, you'd be very.
It was looking grim for him, yeah, and it was the kind of. I know that sounds, in retrospect, that sounds quite positive, but the noises out of the camp were very much down on him yesterday, and we all left thinking he was in big trouble because they've used five second rows already this tournament, and it didn't look like he might get a look in. But turns out there was an injury behind the scenes that we didn't know about. Ian Henderson's picked up an injury, and it's opened the door for him.
You mean the Irish Rugby press conferences didn't volunteer that information? No?
They did not. No. It's private medical information, Joe.
That's the new paradigm we're living in.
It is. So it's exciting. I think I said it earlier. It's going to be good to see him, and he's a player the Welsh. Yeah. He's a player the Welsh really respect as well. So
and he'll know them.
He'll know them as well. But I think it's a combination we've all wanted to look at in this tournament. So
and do Ryan and Byrne complement each other? Do you feel
they do in terms of their energy? I mean, they're not. You can see whenever David Toner's there, he has a very defined role as the line-out expert. The tight-head scrummaging lock. Probably a lot of that stuff falls on James Ryan. I presume James Ryan calls the line out. I mean, Tyburn calls the line out at Munster, but I don't think he's done it for Ireland. That's something that I suppose we'll probably find out tomorrow when Joe Schmidt's talking. I think it would be James Ryan's first time calling a line out at international level. It would probably be Tyburn's as well, because I think Quinn Roux did it the last time he played. Little things like that that puts the bit of pressure on Rory Best.
Here, Alan Wynne-Jones rubbing his hands.
Yeah, exactly, and they've put pressure on Ireland's line out before. So, yeah, little factors like that probably, when you're thinking about the ball carrying, you kind of get carried away and you forget about the nitty gritty of what a Devon Toner and Ian Henderson brings.
Jimmy has said if we think that's Liverpool's best 11, he's had more having to go at me. Madness, he says.
Madness, Joe.
Fabinho and Henderson, much of a muchness. Look, that is a bit generous to Henderson, I'll give you that. Much of a muchness in the context of away to Bayern Munich, this level of football. I think you put Fabinho in or you put Henderson in. I still don't think Liverpool are going to dominate possession. I don't think it's going to be one of those nights for them.
But they're away from all Europe. They're not really to be expected. So that's Henderson gets a bit of unfair stick.
I understand why he's gone for Henderson in the context of this game. But look, I'll have Fabinho ahead of Henderson on a given day, especially at Anfield. Lads, do you think Mo Salah's form directly linked to Firmino's, both playing poorly lately, both playing in a different position to last year, says John?
John didn't see Mo Salah playing on Saturday, I'll tell you that much.
Paul and Red Hoth, I have to agree, lads. I think this is more with you, Richie, based on what he says then. Hendo does nothing creative, and with the front three, you need something to create. It's great to keep the ball, but doing nothing with it is pointless. Well, I don't even think Henderson keeps the ball especially well for Liverpool. He doesn't show for the ball. I've now turned suddenly on him quite badly here. But
I'll be honest with you, you're not making the best case for him this evening.
My argument is I don't think Liverpool are going to have much of the ball tonight. But you think of Goodison.
So throw him in there anyway.
Goodison a couple of weeks. Well, I think defensively he's going to be tuned in and he'll be talking to players and he'll at least try and.
I think you've got that in Milner anyway.
But I think you'll need three. Like honestly, I think they'll need all of Milner and Wijnaldum and then Henderson doing that. I think there'll be backs to the wall periods this evening. But they're like at Goodison, I couldn't get over how readily Henderson just turned his back on Van Dijk or whoever was on the ball and just jogged up the pitch and didn't want to know. It was actually shocking.
It's weird, yeah. You could put the Mo Salah out of form thing to bed, judging by his performance on Saturday. I know he's not scoring goals, but I watched that game against Burnley and the amount that he was creating. Like, the Liverpool don't score 4 last Saturday against Burnley if it's not for Mo Salah, and what he was actually setting up for both Mane and Firmino. He's been fantastic in terms of his creative play.
Yeah,
not necessarily
just missing a few more chances this year.
He was never going to sustain what he did last year. That was
freakish. Yeah. Like no one's going to do that 2 seasons running.
Michael and North Farnham, a bit of Cheltenham novelty question for you lads.
Oh God.
How many pints of Guinness are purchased over the 4 days?
Does Michael work for Diageo by any chance?
He has the answer. Yeah, I shouldn't really have read out a brand. Other pints are available. Maybe it specifically is Guinness. Regardless, over 4 days, how many at Cheltenham Racecourse?
Pints.
No, don't be ridiculous here. How many attend? What's the attendance each day?
70-odd thousand.
70-odd thousand, 4 days.
Nice mass.
100 million.
100 million?
Go for it, yeah.
265,000. 265,000.
That's all right. Considering the attendance.
It's all very sensible, isn't it?
That seems relatively sensible.
How many would be drunk in Cardiff on Saturday night? That'd be...
Down Chip Alley?
Down Chippy Alley, yeah.
Good Lord, that's a place to have a party, isn't it?
Anyways.
When the roof is closed at Cardiff, is there...
It's quite smelly.
I was just going to say, it's just a stench, a bit like a nightclub.
Press box in Cardiff is right in the middle of things as well. So the Friday night kickoffs in particular are quite dangerous. I remember hearing a couple of years ago that one of the journalists filing on deadline had his laptop ruined by a spilled pint. Another time a fan leaned over. It says, what happens if I press this button? And goes for the off switch.
Wasn't saved. The work wasn't saved.
I'm not sure. The story wouldn't be very good if it was. If you had it, if he was on auto save. But we're right in the middle of things. So yeah, Cardiff. It is a bit sweaty. It's really hot. The players always complain that it's actually quite wet on the pitch, even though it's not raining, because there's a condensation in the air. There's all that beer has been brought up and vaporized, and it's but it's just amazing. Like the noise levels are insane. So it kind of that compensates for it, and you just don't want to be on the edge where all those people are walking in and out with their drinks, because it's pretty much a constant stream of people to the bar. Yeah.
I saw a video of someone at Twickenham at the weekend and he was giving out. It was horrific.
Yeah. I've been in that I've been in that situation at games.
If you didn't see, he was sitting in his seat and he was almost saying to people, can we wait for a break and play here? Because it was just a stream of people going up and down right in front of him with their pints during the game, and he was just getting very fed up.
That very much sounds like something you do as well.
What?
Giving out to the person. It's like, can we please stop going for pints, please? I'm trying to watch the game.
Oh, you would though if you're sitting in the aisle, because it's
in the middle.
Yeah, no. If you're sitting in the, I've done it. I sat in Cardiff before. I was working. I went to a game there, and I was on the edge, and it was just infuriating. And you really notice it when you normally go to Croke Park, or Croke Park. You can't bring your drinks in. League of Ireland games, you can't bring your drinks in. Even the Aviva for football games, you can't bring your drinks in. Whereas at rugby, you've got a constant flow of people going to and from the bars because they're allowed for some reason.
Porg on Twitter was at Barca at the weekend, surprised to see the booing of Coutinho, he says, when he was substituted. In the context of the game, he did spurn a couple of chances, but he looked good and lively on the ball, arguably did more than Suarez and Messi on the night. Cheers for that, Porg. I'll put that to Tim Vickery on the football show. Can you ask Rory, will we ever see Tyg Byrne wearing the blue of Leinster himself and James Ryan? I mean, they get Joey Carberry, surely we should get... This works. Leinster fans.
Yeah, well, I think there's always a chance. There's nothing is sacred these days, and I think with, say, Joey Carberry, we've seen Cian Kelleher has gone to Connacht for 3 or 4 years. He's come back to Leinster this season. There's always a chance that Joey Carberry, being from Leinster, or Tyg Byrne, being from Leinster, will one day want to come and move closer to home. I'd say it's unlikely at this stage, but I would never rule it out. Just to annoy the Munster fans. I haven't annoyed the Munster fans in a while. So.
Yeah. Wouldn't O'Mahony be able to call the line out? Not necessarily.
Yeah, potentially.
Responsibility.
Yeah. Nick the chair as well. I mean, he's got the experience, but usually it's a second row. But that's a fair point.
Right, last few stories then.
They voted against a no deal on the Brexit thing over in the UK. Anyway, Ronan Curtis has emerged as a doubt for the Republic of Ireland's Euro 2020 qualifiers with Gibraltar and Georgia. The Portsmouth forward had to have part of his finger surgically reattached after trapping it in a door in a freak accident. His club manager Kenny Jackett is unsure when the former Derry City man will be able to return. While 17-year-old Tottenham striker Troy Parrott has been named in Stephen Kenny's Republic of Ireland under-21 squad for the European Championship qualifier with Luxembourg. Manchester City goalkeeper Gavin Bazunu also gets the nod, along with the Liverpool stopper Caoimhín Kelleher. Plenty of League of Ireland involvement as well. 8 players in all. Bohemians pair Dan Mandrew and Dara Leahy. UCD's Liam Scales and Neil Ferrugia. Waterford's Zach El Bazzoudi and Aaron Drinan. And Shamrock Rovers' Trevor Clark and St. Pat's midfielder Jamie Lennon included. But Inter Milan midfielder Ryan Nolan is not. He's on standby. That game with Luxembourg in Tala on Sunday week. And with so many Premier League based players playing under 23 football for their club, Stephen Kenny says it can be tricky at times to accurately gauge players' performances.
For example, the game I was at on Monday was a very good standard, Wolves and Southampton, under 23s. But some weeks you might go and both teams are promoting even younger players, and the standard mightn't be as high. So it's it's difficult to sort of compare League Two to the SPL to the league here to the under 23 league. It's all you can see is the qualities that the player has, how he adapts to his environment, and how you feel he can adapt to the under 21 team and its environment. Because you're right, when you're going in against a lot of the under 21 international teams, they mainly have players who are playing in first teams around Europe, and that's really very significant.
So 24th of March, Tala Stadium, Luxembourg. I would think the 21s will get a bit of a boost in attendance because of the Kenny factor over the next campaign.
It's actually a really attractive looking squad as well.
And he'll play attractive football, and people get a good look.
And even League of Ireland fans are more likely to go because their own players are potentially going to be playing, and you want to see how your own players get on.
Young players who are playing well, Leahy and Mandrew, Bowes, Ferrugia is doing really well at UCD.
Clark is very highly thought of.
Yeah.
England have named their squad.
Oh yes, indeed they have. The Republic of Ireland's Young Player of the Year, Declan Rice, is included in an England squad for the very first time. The West Ham midfielder named in Gareth Southgate's 25-man panel for their Euro 2020 qualifiers with the Czech Republic and Montenegro. Burnley pair Tom Heaton and James Tarkowski both get recalls as well. And Southgate says the dual nationality issue is one that they have themselves struggled with.
Kids are asked to make decisions very young. You know, at under 16 they can play for 2 or 3 countries, no issue. As soon as they play in a UEFA competition at under 17, then they can't transfer unless there's the paperwork is completed, and you only get one chance to do that. So once young boys are capped very young, then it becomes a very complex situation. And some of those situations we've had players transfer to us, and in others like Iwobi, Zaha, Ampadu, players have gone to other countries.
There we are. There's championship action tonight.
Yeah, and Norwich can reclaim top spot in the championship tonight if they avoid defeat at home to Hull. West Brom play their first game since sacking Darren Moore crazily when Swansea visit the Hawthorns. Nottingham Forest play host to one of manager Martin O'Neill's former sides, that's Aston Villa. Derby can climb into the playoffs with at least a point at home to Stoke. Birmingham have their first game at St Andrews since the attack on Jack Grealish, with the rather level-headed Millwall the visitors. Elsewhere, Preston go to Middlesbrough and QPR face Rotherham. And
I see Tuilagi has said no to Racing.
Indeed, and he has. It's a big boost to England. He has said no to that lucrative offer from Racing 92 and signed a new deal with Leicester Tigers. His contract was due to expire this summer, and he had been to France to discuss terms with the top 14 club, but he's now decided to stay instead at Welford Road.
Does this mean they've just come up with a massive amount of money for him?
You'd imagine the deal is very good, but I think he was one of the best paid players at Leicester already, if not the best player in Leicester, and he's played no rugby for them in the last couple of years. And I always felt it left me a little bit cold, the idea that he would leave for Racing, having been one of their top earners and not really played for his, the club that he came through. But I suppose it's a professional game. But you'd imagine he's well compensated, and you'd imagine Eddie Jones and the England hierarchy were also going,
stay.
Yeah, stay, and it's worked out for him. He looks great at the moment.
He's looking good now. Yeah.
I mean, it's all very fragile, but you forgot how good he was.
Okay. Rory back for Wednesday Night Rugby. That's after 8 o'clock with Keith Wood. Next up, though, we're talking Cheltenham.
Off the ball on News Talk. The Pat Kenny Show.